Our story today is called The General Who Took 3 Steps Back. A long time ago, during the spring and autumn period of ancient China, there lived a wise and patient general named Chandler. He was the prince of the state of Jin, and his army was one of the strongest in the land. But Chandler wasn't just brave, he was also smart. He believed that sometimes, stepping back was better than charging forward. Now, just next door was the Chu Kingdom, ruled by King Baller. The king had a powerful army too, but he wasn't very wise. He loved showing off and starting fights to prove he was the boss. One day, King Baller said to his advisors that Jin Kingdom is getting too big for its boots. Let's go, teach them a lesson. But your majesty, said one general, Jin's General Chandler is not someone to take lightly. He's as clever as he is strong. Bah, the king waved his hand, we'll crush them. So, the Chu army marched toward Jin territory, drums pounding, flags flying, and soldiers shouting. It was a very loud invasion. Chandler got word of this and called a meeting. His advisor said, the Chu army is coming. We should meet them in battle. But Chandler smiled calmly. If we rush into a fight just because they want one, we'll fall into their trap. But General, are we going to let them push us around? Chandler raised a finger. We will not be pushed around, but we will not be tricked either. I suggest we retreat 3 sheesh. 1 sheesh is 30 kilometers. It's the metric system back in the day in ancient China. Everyone gasped. 3 sheesh, that's nearly 90 kilometers exactly, Chandler said. We'll back away slowly, giving them space. If they truly want war, they'll keep following us. If not, they'll stop. His generals were unsure. It sounded like cowardice, but they trusted Chandler, so they gave the order. The Jin army began to pull back, step by step, until they reached 3 sheesh. Meanwhile, the Chu army marched forward, only to find Jin troops disappearing into the distance. King Baller laughed. They're running away. We're winning already. But his chief general Zion said this doesn't feel right. Chandler is not a coward. If he's retreating, it must be part of a plan. Nonsense, the king scoffed. Let's chase them and finish this. So the Chu army chased and chased. But the further they went, the more tired the soldiers became. Supplies were running low. The horses were exhausted, and the men began to complain. One night, while the Chu army rested in a valley, Chandler gave a secret order. Now, he said with a smile, they've walked into our trap. Let's surround them from 3 sides and leave the 4th open. We'll offer them a way out, and they'll run. At dawn, the Jin army returned, swift and silent. The King Baller's soldiers woke up surrounded. Arrows flew, soldiers shouted, and drums boomed. They were caught by surprise. They fought hard, but they were tired, confused, and outsmarted. Seeing that the fight was hopeless, King Baller escaped through the one open path the Jin army had left. He didn't stop running until he reached his home country. After that battle, King Baller never tried to fight Kingdom Jin again. Everyone celebrated Chandler's clever victory. General cried his advisors, you were right all along. Retreating 3 sheesh wasn't cowardice. It was genius. Chandler laughed. Sometimes the smartest move is to take a step back, or 3. And from that day on, the phrase became famous. It means to avoid conflict by giving way, showing patience and wisdom instead of rushing into a fight. The moral of the story: being brave doesn't always mean fighting. Sometimes, backing off is the wisest thing to do. Just like General Chandler, thinking before acting can help you win the real battle. So the 3 steps in our story today means retreat 3 sheesh, or about 90 kilometers. But figuratively, it means to give way or step back to avoid conflict, especially when doing so is the wiser choice. A modern example for kids: let's say you're at school and someone cuts in line for lunch. You really want to say something mean or push back, but instead, you take a deep breath and let it go. Maybe they're having a bad day. Maybe you'll talk to a teacher later. That's your version of stepping back to avoid a big argument. A modern example for adults: a red sports car tries to shift lane and cut off a white Camry hybrid. Without proper actions, the sports car didn't signal the light when he was changing lanes, and there wasn't enough space for him to do the lane change. Guess what the Camry did? The driver steps on the brake pedal and slowed down the car, giving the sports car enough space to avoid road rage. That was the absolutely best reaction at that moment, because the red car rear-ended another truck for his furious driving in a bit. We all have to pay for our own actions and behaviors, and the red car driver got what he deserved. Being smart is better than being angry. Don't you agree? The end.